But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you.
Good morning, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith, and we've got to say it, happy birthday to Stu Penman.
Absolutely.
We've had a right old time in the WhatsApp group over the last 24 hours. He went in a right strop because he thought we'd all forgotten. But what hadn't, Stu? What hadn't? This is what the professional show is all about. But I hope you've had a good one, mate, and you don't look at a day over 21, mate.
I feel a day over 81, I tell you, I'm rough. Good day, though.
Well, that's an experience I can share.
You wouldn't want to share what I had yesterday, George, that's for sure.
No, I don't think anybody could. Even look at Mitch, he's got a hangover thinking about it. Anyway, welcome along to the professionals, an hour of chat about Newcastle United, and as always, it's as Stu was saying a while back. Good morning from the Champions League positions, and it's great to see Newcastle still there. But George, it was it felt like touch and go. A game which we didn't watch live. None of us were there. We couldn't watch it on TV. I chose to go and watch Dunstan get a point off the champions of the league yesterday. But I was keeping an eye on my phone to the to-ing and fro-ing. And as I put out on Twitter last night, man of the match for me was Eddie Howe, because to suddenly go from the formation that he had to making the decision to take off Longstaff and Murphy and bring on Gordon and Wilson, it won the game because it changed things straight away. Suddenly you have Isak and Wilson playing together. Newcastle United had a bit more zip and should have probably won the game by 3 or 4-1 by the end of the game. But the first half, I mean, anything that could go wrong did go wrong. And once again, this morning and last night on Match of the Day back here, VAR is the talking point when really you should be talking about goals and players. It's VAR. So give us your assessment of the game, George, and what you thought about it all.
Well, as the platform is called the professionals, that was a very professional performance by Newcastle United from me. Professional from the staff point of view, from the manager, from the players on the field eventually. They managed it in a very professional way. And I just want to wax lyrical about all the things I seen that I loved yesterday as part of what went on. And the only thing that holds you back, of course, is that bloody three things, VAR, the appalling commentary. I've heard 2 commentaries now. I wish we could find a commentator that's at least impartial. I mean, it's absolutely awful. And then huge loss of respect, as far as I'm concerned, to the Brentford manager, who I love to bits usually. But he clearly not a very good loser, that's for sure. And his comments at the end just were sickening. But to go back to where we were, in the first half, we struggled to contain them. But remember, this is a team that hasn't lost at home since when? Last October. October. I knew it was a long time ago. They haven't lost, and they're used to getting their own way at home. As I said to you the other night, it's a small ground. It's a small plain pitch, so it's a different scenario to the London Stadium altogether. The fans, their fans that are on a touchline and not miles away beyond the running track like they are at the London Stadium. And our pitches, I'd love to see what the size of the pitch is to be on the playing surface, because it's definitely not as big as the ones we're used to, and certainly nowhere near as big as St James's Park or the London Stadium. And I knew that was going to be a reason to give us cause for concern, and it makes you play differently. You know, it's one of those things that you're closer to everybody, and that's how Brentford played it, and you know, 5 stars to them really for doing that, to restrict us in that way, which other teams have not been able to do. Of course, we now realise, or at least I realised at the time, massively assisted by Rick by VAR, how on earth that was a penalty is ridiculous, and hard lines to Nick Pope, because he got the first one. By hell, he nearly got the second one as well, but never mind. All of that molded into what was a hard working first half. There's no doubt about it. But as I said, go back to the word professional. It was handled by the lads and the management very professionally. And then your comment comes into play, Steve, because what happened in the dressing room then is Eddie Howe then showed that he does have a plan B, and there is something else to do, and did what lots of people were saying he would never do, and that's play the two strikers up front. And then he pushed more energy on in Gordon and so on, and that was just fantastic. Because they were there running like demons, Gordon was, chasing down defenders to help Isak and Wilson get in behind them. It just was an all-round super performance. And once again, where the hell did we get that bloke Joe Linton from? Goodness gracious, that can't be the same player that we were watching 2 years ago. It can't possibly be. But he certainly had another good, huge influence on the game again. And the other thing I was going to say was, where on earth did they get these people that decided that's an own goal? Can't possibly have played football before, because it was heading for the net. Yes, it got a touch on the goalkeeper's ankle, but did that necessarily change it that much? I don't think it did. I think it just, all it did was it stopped it flying into the side net and at the other side the goal, but it still would have went in the goal. So
that's got to be a review for the dubious goals committee, George.
Hasn't it just? I mean, whoever decided that couldn't possibly have played football before. Anyway, we got that, and then after that it was one-way traffic for the next 20 minutes, and the second goal, hats off to Callum Wilson. He could easily, in the position he was in, took a flyer and put it in Rosette when he had the ball at his feet. But he saw where Isak was, and Isak was on his own, and bang, finish it off, Bonnie lad. And Isak did. What a player he's going to become, what it has become, and going to be. I don't care what he costs. He's a bloody good player, despite what Mr. Frank said. So
I was going to say, now that you chuck that in there, and that's that was just sour grapes. And I've got to be honest, I like Thomas Frank. I think he's a great manager.
Me
I think
too.
he does brilliantly on the resources that he's got.
Yeah.
But to chuck that in, Newcastle were the better team in the second half. Just tell the truth, for God's sake. Absolutely. You lost, and he lost the plan, doesn't he? How outthought him. Why couldn't he just say that? The other manager was better than I was in the second half, and managed to bring the game forward, and hats off to them. But to do that, I mean, as I said earlier, when he lost at Manchester on Wednesday night, he didn't say, well, we lost because a £100 million striker and an £80 million striker scored 2 goals. No, he bloody didn't. He just opted into this anti-Newcastle theme, which has been on again this morning. I don't know if you lads have seen him talking about the dark arts of football and how Newcastle use the dark arts, and really, he's talking about our assistant manager influence and the fourth official. What do you think? What do you think we're going to do? And so he's excusing the fact that they caused a rumpus on the sideline because Tyndall was influencing the fourth official. What tripe! What absolute sour grapes! It really is. I lost a lot of respect for that man. I like them as well, but no, fantastic. And the word I finish with is for all the players and staff. And by the way, if there's a better right back in Europe than Kieran Trippier, I wish somebody would show him to us. And the last bit is the real captain. As soon as Lascelles went on the pitch, what did Trippier do? He took the armband off and he put it straight on Lascelles' arm. Straight away. There was no hanging about. He got hold of Lascelles' arm, put the band on, and I thought, well, wow, fantastic. And
And then at the end, it was nice to see Eddie Howe get hold of Gordon and calm him down. And he's commented on it this morning, saying we love his passion. He's just got to control it. That's all. No, professionals where I started, professionals where I finished. That was a very professional win from Newcastle United.
Yeah, good to see Mitch dipping out so he could nip ahead of Stu there in the comments. that old trick, Mitch. Obviously, got something to say, have you, about yesterday's game?
Look, I think it was quite clear in the first half we were jaded, we were tired. And when you hear Ten Hag whinging about 3 games in 6 days, you're not the only one, son. You've got a bigger and deeper squad than we have. We're getting on with it without complaining. Why don't you? And then yesterday's game, and events in other games too, the Brighton game and the West Ham game, which I don't know whether we'll get around to in a different part of the show to talk about all of this VAR shenanigans. But, we battled through that. Other teams could have let their heads go down and feel and put on. And we didn't. We kept it together. I think the half-time changes were, like my dad said, finally Howe showing us he does have a plan B in mind. And plan B works. It made their fullbacks took a little deeper. It just put that little bit more pressure on their back four. And it created the space for Joe Linton to get through to score the equaliser. And the post-match comments from Frank are really disappointing from someone who I've had a lot of time for. The petulance, there's no need to add £63 million striker in there. No need for that at all. Does that imply that, are you now creating a little gang who are saying, well, they're only where they are because of the money? And that's a disgrace. And it's an utter insult to what Eddie Howe's managed. And also going on about Tyndall and this dark arts shit that's being thrown at Winner. It's like, can we not have some credit where it's due? And why shouldn't you have been in the 4th officials yet? Because every bloody decision seemed to be going against him. Every VAR decision seemed to be being twisted against her. I defy anybody not to have somebody from their bench getting into a 4th official's year in a situation like that. The fact again that we're just that little bit better at it than everybody else, it seems, and shithousery is king, then happy days. I like winding people up like that, but it's disappointing to see that come from Frank. I think now we can have a little bit of rest, and it's obvious we need a bit of rest. Bruno, played through hurting his ankle again in the warm-up. And this is the thing about high ankle strains. I've said it before and I'll say it again. They're notorious for lingering around. They're notorious for being difficult to treat and manage. And hopefully we can just get him through to the end of the season, then he can have a proper rest. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him having a minor operation in the close season if the medical team deem it the best way to get this ankle right as soon as possible. Many of them do end up being operated on, but they tend to be severe ones. I do think his has been more severe than he's let show. I think he's been very brave to play through it, because I gather that absolute swines once it's not playing on it, it's getting hit on it. And once you get hit on it again, it hurts like hell. And so hopefully that'll stay tight for next weekend. And to take those points the way we have out of those 3 games, with the goals we've scored and the performances we've put in, we've done everything from being at our best and turning over Man U to being not at our best and absolutely ruthless against West Ham and giving no quarter, and then battling through and picking up 3 points when we didn't play well at all for 45 minutes. And if that's not the sign of a bloody good team, I don't know what is.
Stu, they didn't spoil your weekend, other than they didn't get 3-1, they only got 2-1.
Yeah, but I have to say good morning from the Champions League places. It's nice to see, isn't it? It should have been 3-1, robbed again. So I'm used to it. But I said last time I was on, which was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? It was we had 3 games in 6 days, and where we finish after that will be very telling after those 3 games, and we've won them all. And we're in the driving seat. What's most, reassuring, I suppose, is the players are talking about it and they're not scared of it. They see it as a challenge and it's something that they're aspiring to achieve together. It's not like a mental thing. Oh no, we could get Champions League here, and they don't look like bottling it. If anything, they're doing the opposite. You know, they've got their arms out trying to grab it, and the togetherness in the team is amazing. As Mitch just alluded to there at half time, I wouldn't say as much they were jaded. I think they come up with a system to nullify Newcastle's attacking and stop it, because Isak had not much at all in the first half, did he? But fair credit to Eddie Howe, because he's looked at that and thought, right, okay, you've sussed that plan out. Try this one. Let's put some pace on. Let's put Wilson on. Let's get Isak on the left and see what you can do here. And it was a chalk and cheese performance, wasn't it, from the first half, where they were struggling and probably grateful to get to half time, only one down, to come out the second half. In the first 20 minutes of the second half, they blew them away. It really could have been 3-4 by 5 even. Again, they had a fantastic performance on Wednesday at West Ham, and I think the Man United was a complete team performance. I think everyone raised the bar for that game. So we've come out of it unscathed, not dropped any points. They've now got a system where our bench is looking strong. You know, the injuries seem to have been working in our favour for a change. And if we go to Villa, who are the form team in the country at the moment, we go to Villa next week and get a win there, then I'm sorry, we are good for the Champions League, and no one else can say you're being too positive. You have to start believing it. None of this Stockholm syndrome. Let's get it right. We want it, we can get it, and it's in our hands. And I recall saying that I believe 71 points would be the marker, and we needed just over 2 points a game for that. We've now got, I think, is it 9 games left? And we need to get 15 points to achieve that in 9 games. We're more than capable of doing that. And then if you look at Tottenham, I think realistic they would have to win every game but one. And that's not going to happen because they've got a game against us as well. So our home form now will carry us on. The Tottenhams, the Brightons, Arsenal games at home. This is what's going to get us the Champions League. And then we're off the party even more than I did yesterday, if that's possible.
Your thoughts on Thomas Frank's, spoiled brat attitude after the game?
You know what, sometimes I can let it get under my skin. Other times I just smile and say it's great, isn't it, that we've rattled them that much. Whoever it is, and it's just cheap, it's lazy, saying, oh, they've got a £63 million striker. So when they get beat off, I don't know, say Man United, or they've got a £73 million winger, or an £80 million winger, or an £80 million, they don't come out with that. It's just easy to direct it in Newcastle. And it's not going to be the last time we're going to get accused, but top and bottom of it is we were the 8th biggest spenders last summer. And so that means really we should be 8th if that's how he wants to draw his argument, saying you spent more money. Okay, we should be 8th, we're not, we're 3rd. Live with it, because we're loving it. Let them crack on. Let them crack on.
Steve, can I come back on Bruno? I think everybody saw, at least I think everybody saw, that Bruno was once again targeted. And if Frank wants to talk about dark arts, well, he made it so that each midfielder in his team took turns attacking Bruno so that they didn't get sent off. I think that was the plan for Bruno. Every time the lad got the ball, he was getting well and truly hacked at. And in another game, if that had been one player, they'd have been in the dressing room. But they were crafty enough to do it alternately so that they didn't get booked. So if he wants to talk about dark arts, that's a dark art I think we could get rid of.
No, definitely. Lots of questions coming in for the panel. Tom Dixon asking what happened to Anthony Gordon yesterday. He didn't look happy. I mean, I did see that. And essentially, Eddie Howe's come out and explained that he had an ankle injury, George, didn't he? He had an ankle injury and he did it for the better of the team. And obviously, Gordon probably didn't understand that.
Well, and there were only seconds to go. It wasn't as though it was for a long period. It was only for less than a minute. And as he said, it also killed Brentford's motion in the game to put two more substitutes on, Lascelles and Ritchie, 2 experienced players, and take him and somebody else off. So, and I like the way the House handled it. Like he handles everything with players. we'll love his passion. He didn't kill that. He just said, we'll love his passion. He's just got to control it, and we're going to help him to do that. Well, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I could see he was upset, but for me, there's some positives in that as well. That somebody is so keen to do well for her, he wants to stay on that pitch. I can live with that, and I'm confident that Eddie Howe and his team can put that right with the lad. That's why we bought him, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with passion, Mitch, when it's for the right reasons.
I'd always rather see a player not happy to come off the pitch than just shrug his shoulders and jump off and grab a coat and sit on the bench. That's passion. And I suspect if he's got one eye on Bruno carrying a knock, another eye on other people's fitness, and St. Maximin's off into his favourite oxygen chamber to sort his hamstring out, he's managing the squad. And if for the sake of 30 seconds sticking Matt Ritchie on, taking Gordon off, protects his ankle for that little bit of time and avoids an injury, happy days. And the fact that he's dressed it so publicly and so quickly just hammers a nail in any conspiracy theories about Gordon being unhappy and this, that, and the other. Bang, it's done. It's over. Deal closed. Next.
Yeah. And again, same question you used to. Just it was good to see the passion there, and Eddie Howe explained it. And just says he needs to curb his emotions a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with Mitch. I mean, we've all played football at different levels, so it's Ladgeville being a sub and getting brought off again, isn't it? So it doesn't matter if it's just for the last 30 seconds or not. It's the banter you get in the dressing room afterwards. So you can understand them not being happy about it. And as you've mentioned, there's other players there who are carrying bigger injuries. And the fact that he was on the same side as the bench, you would think it would take someone off the left off to waste a bit more time rather than get him who was closer. So it all compounds, but again, people try and make a story out of nothing. The guy's showing his passion. He's upset about being subbed. As Mitch said, you want him to come off clapping and smiling and being happy. You want him to be upset, get taken off. You want all the players who are getting taken off to be upset. But he'll learn from it. And I'm sure he's been advised of the reasons behind it, and he'll understand it now, and it won't happen again. And that's how it moves on. So we're in such a good place at the moment, and people will try and find faults or try and find stories, or the press will try and generate something that's not true. And the way I see it is just bring it all on, because we now should go. I could see us going unbeaten for the rest of the season if they keep the same focus, energy, mentality, and everything else. And it's every time we've had a trip away, like we did it at Saudi last year, after the Leeds game, that probably was the catalyst for us being able to stay up. We had a massive, I think it was a 9-game unbeaten run after that. So if we can have a 9-game unbeaten run now, and we're actually picking up wins and not the draws we were at the earlier part of the year, then we're going to put so much distance between us. If you start looking at take the emotion out of it and the cold, hard facts of where Newcastle can be, as I said, as I've just said last time I spoke, 15 points out of 27 it's not Champions League form, and we don't have to perform Champions League levels to get the Champions League now. And Brighton getting cheated yesterday, that really, to me, that puts them out of it. I think we're going to get third now and let Tottenham Man United fight for the 4th place. I really can't see. We again put another statement of intent against Villa next week, and they'll buckle rather than us.
I'm the same mentality, Stu. I genuinely think, and I said before this set of fixtures, ideally for Newcastle, 9 points out of these 3. I wouldn't be upset with a draw at Villa. And I'd want to win it. Then you've got to win against Spurs at home. You really want to win against Spurs at home. But the way we're playing at the moment, I genuinely, even despite that first half, how changed it? We got a little bit of luck as well. It has to be said. But I don't see any reason why Newcastle can't win at Villa and beat Spurs. I'm with you. I think we could go unbeaten. There's going to be something happens. There's going to be twists and turns. I think still, but. Newcastle and Villa next week is a huge game. And if Newcastle go there and make that, as you called it, a statement of intent, I think it's all over bar the shout for that 3rd place.
Yeah, we could even afford to draw their Spurs, because they don't catch us if we draw with them. So
Exactly.
it's another game less for them. So, and I just think beating Villa, there's a bit of animosity between the fans. I think it goes back that some of the time banner, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we've had a good record down there more often than not, and they haven't. I don't think Newcastle, the position they're in, should be worrying about the Aston Villas or the Everton games and stuff like that. We should be going there and saying, like, we are better than them. And that's how they come up the second half yesterday. As if Eddie Howe just challenged them and says, you want the Champions League playing like that? You're not going to get it. And it's very, very simple to manage players when they're doing very, very well. They just need tweaking or challenging. Okay, prove yourselves. And they did. I thought they were incredible the first 20 minutes of the second half yesterday. And I was watching it with West Ham fans, with Leeds fans, Tottenham fans, and obviously give my unbiased opinion. They all just had the white flag up, saying, no, you don't get the Champions League, but you deserve it as well. Because not many teams go to Brentford and do that, do they?
Nah.
Yeah, so
one other team, Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And that just shows we've been playing well in parts and getting draws. Like yesterday, I think at some stage where at half time, I think most of us would have said, okay, I'll take a draw with this and move on.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the mentality of the players. It's not the mentality of the management team. So we're going to win this. And the more games we win, the less chance anyone's got to catch us.
And we've got two strikers. We've got two strikers now who are both fully fit, who are both capable of scoring goals, and they're both different types of players. And it's, whether they're on the pitch together or apart, they can both influence and change a game. And don't forget as well, in that last part of the run-in, we should have Miggy Almiron back as well, which is another player. I mean, obviously we might lose players to injury. We're hoping the ASM is going to be fit for next week and hope Bruno's ankle holds up. Before we go to the ads, Mr. Anderson asks a question which I don't know the answer to. Just saying, I see clubs getting fined for various reasons, like surrounding the referee. Where does this money go? Well, I presume it just goes back into the pot at the Premier League, doesn't it?
Yes.
I believe so, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, does not go into something handled by the FA? I can't remember what it is exactly, but I think the pot it goes into, I think, is at the FA.
Is it not the slush fund and then they distribute it at the end of each year?
Could be, but I suspect that's.
I may be wrong, but I was wondering if it wasn't the money that goes with the charity shield.
Yeah, well, somebody Google it out there. Somebody find it. One of the lads, maybe during the ad break, have a look. See if we can come up with the answer to that, because it would be interesting. There's not enough money goes into grassroots. There's teams struggling all the time. I mean, look at North Shields at the minute, going through an absolute nightmare scenario. They've developed too soon and need ground redevelopment. It's going to get punished. Could potentially get sent down, because they haven't, managed to get their ground up to standard. And this is the problem. Not enough money in grassroots. But we'll have a look for that, see if we can find it. But for now, we'll go to the ads.
A big thanks to all our sponsors: Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks also to Mr. Vicky's, handmade in Cumbria. These sauces are really hot stuff. You can order them by emailing info@mrvickies.co.uk or by telephoning 01768 210 102. Thanks to Neil and the guys at Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things. And thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, nufcmatters.com. If you want to subscribe to the show, hit the subscribe button tonight. It is free. Hit the thumb up under the video to like the video and click share to share to your other social media. If you want to join the channel, hit join. There's 3 different tiers. Pick the one that suits you and help support the channel financially. If you want to pay a one-off membership fee of £25 and get these goodies, a scarf, a pen, a cup, and entry into the monthly draw, then go to NUFC Matters and look for membership pack. Failing that, get your smartphone and put it over the QR code and it will take you straight there. We're also a podcast and you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean and other podcast providers. Usually goes up 24 hours after the show has finished. We also support the food bank on this channel. If you want to make a virtual donation today at the Matchday Bucket, go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk and you can make a deposit today. Don't forget to enter the Shearer raffle. There's 150 tickets, £1 per ticket, and you can win a limited edition signed Alan Shearer ball. Enter now at nufcmatters.com. If you have a look on our website, we've also got a vast range of mugs, t-shirts, cups, and whatever else takes your fancy. The Isaac t-shirt is proven popular this month, $16.99 plus delivery from nufcmatters.com. Don't forget as well, we do a range of events over the course of the year. We have Peter Beardsley, an up-close and personal evening at the Tynemouth Surf Cafe. Limited tickets remain, 25th of April. Get them now from Surf Cafe, tynemouth.co.uk or from ticketweb.uk. There's also an evening with Peter Beardsley on May the 19th at the Tyneside Irish Centre, and you can get tickets from newcastlelegends.com, and tickets are £50. Don't forget our end of season do takes place 27th of May, 7 o'clock at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets for that one are a tenner, nufcmatters.com is where you can get your tickets for that. In June, Thursday the 1st of June to be precise, Rob Lee will be at Louis Liquor Store in the Big Market in Newcastle, and tickets for that are available direct from the venue. And an evening with Rob Lee, Lee Clark and John Beresford takes place the next evening on Friday the 2nd of June at the Grand Hotel in Gosforth. This is a charity event and tables are of £10, £700, and you can book them by contacting Natalie at heelandtoe.org.uk or visiting their website. In July, Gavin Peacock is in Newcastle on July the 10th at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets for that are available from nufcmatters.com. And he also takes an evening with at the Surf Cafe in Tynemouth on the 11th of July. So get your tickets direct from the venue for that one as well. And if you're a boxing fan, the Night of Champions, Ricky Hatton, Frank Bruno, Nigel Benn and Joe Calzaghe takes place at the Fed. And that will be taking place on the 16th of June. More dates to be added. Tickets from all those events, www.goldstarpromotions.co.uk.
Okay, Mitch, you found it.
This is classic, brilliant football as we know it. The answer is it's not very clear. And I've gone through 2 or 3 articles, and I've got a great article to finish off with. Information from 2009-10's accounts based on disciplinary procedures. In the comments on page 335 was Article C, proceeds of fines imposed in the section of disciplinary procedures shall be disbursed as decided by the Football Association.
Yeah.
So they can do what they like with it, basically. It goes in the financial reports on other income, and in 2012 the income was 18 million of other income, and about 70% of that was disciplinary fines. It's added to the income statement, but then it's not very clear how it then goes out, because there's no direct link to the 14.9 million in charitable donations. And then the best one is from 2015 November. Tony Pulis, who at the time was manager of West Brom, was fined £8,000 for improper conduct. And his comments was, on the fine, Greg Dyke has been fantastic advocate for transparency in FIFA and UEFA. So I'll be writing him a letter and asking him where my £8,000 is going to go. If it's going to a charity, which I hope it is, I'd like to send it to the Donna Louise Hospice in Stoke-on-Trent. And I'd like that transparency so everyone can see where my money is going. It's my money, it's not the FA's money, and I have a right to know. The FA's response was, the FA is not a not-for-profit organisation. It redistributes £1,000 million back onto all levels of the game every season. That was that comment.
Wow.
I mean, wow. You've got a manager, someone, okay, not particularly my cup of tea, but he's an interesting character. And he's certainly the kind that would come out and send a letter to Greg Dyke to say what you're doing with me fine money. But wow, you know, and that's just a quick 5-minute Google while the ads were on. If I was to dig into that a bit deeper, it'll only get murkier, and that's classic football.
Definitely,
Absolutely.
definitely
What-
classic football.
Why the FA and Premier League need to be reshuffled from root and branch from top to bottom. What a mess.
Aye.
What a mess.
We did talk a little bit earlier about Thomas Frank saying something about Jason Tindall. I've digged this out. Jason Tindall's exploits. Somebody took the time of writing this up. Kicking the ball back onto the pitch at the Emirates to prevent Arsenal from taking a quick throw in. Receiving a yellow card for repeating that against Crystal Palace. Attempting to convince the fourth official that Fulham had an extra player on the pitch. They didn't. Calling Nick Pope across when Bruno needed treatment, only for the goalkeeper to go down with a mysterious injury. Pretending to talk to the fourth official as he listened to how Nottingham Forest were changing tactically, immediately relaying that information to Howe. Being called into the referee's office at half-time at the City Ground. Feisty exchanges with opposition coaches such as Arteta, Marco Silva, Jurgen Klopp, and Wolves' backroom staff. I mean, George, it is classic shithousery, as Mitch called it at the start of the season. And I mean, you know, it's not illegal to do that. It's just it's the way Tindall is, and
He's look at, as I said at the beginning, this program's called The Professionals. For me, that's very professional behaviour. He's looking after his team. He's looking after his mates. I would expect that to happen. I mean, you know, it's great to have all these notions that players of the past were great sportsmen and all the rest of it. Even my hero, Jackie Milburn. Everybody thinks Jackie was. Most people think he's a god. Well, we've got a statue to him, don't we, outside the stadium. But even I know that Jackie Milburn was occasionally used professionalism to get his own way, especially when he was very quick playing on the right. He'd go past the fullback and leave the fullback gasping for breath. On his way back past him, he'd say, "Wait till I get you the next time," something like that. Well, that's just professionalism. If you're in a professional sport, I'm sorry, that's what you've got to live with.
At any level, George, at any level. Yeah. Sunday morning, we used to do it. It was all good banter. We would give the opposing centre forward dog's abuse to the point where he actually got moved to the other side of the pitch or taken off. It's just what you do. It's parcel of football, I'm afraid. And if you can't take the heat, Mitch, get out of the kitchen.
There's examples of this in all different professional sports. The best one from this year for me, I'm going to come back to me. Second love, the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback, gets the piss taken out of him regularly because of the way he talks. And if he lowers his voice to a certain tone, he sounds like Kermit the Frog. And some defensive lineman made some comment on him in a game against the Chargers. And so he spent the whole third quarter making all the calls at the line in Kermit's voice, doing it the whole quarter. Where you put something like 21 points on the board with no reply because this defensive lineman was just so wound up that he wanted to get at him. He lost all control and focus, you know.
Brilliant.
And you see it and you hear things like this in all levels of the professional game. And it must suck to be on the receiving end of it. But we've been on the receiving end of it for years. Alex Ferguson at Man United, anybody at Man United making whinges and crying on about certain things like that, I've really got short memories. The things he did and the pressure he put on people. And it's there you go. Stephen's just nailed it on the head. All the way through Ferguson's tenure to the point where it got stupid. And if you watch any of the Under the Kosh podcasts when they get some of the referees on, some of the referees who are brave enough to go on or the ex-referees that are brave enough to go on a show like that and be honest about it, used to say, you know, who's the person you had the most trouble dealing with, and nearly always Roy Keane.
Yep.
Roy Keane. And so I think what we're doing it with is very subtle things. Very, very subtle and very clever. You know, trying to convince a official that there's 12 players on the pitch. Fantastic.
I think what I used to do, you know, when a Sunday League team used to take a substitute off and they would still be standing wearing their top, I would do that with a game. I would go to the referee, ref. he's still got his top on, man. My lads think it's a player. Caused complete disarray on there. You know, the opposition manager would go mad, going, "Oh, you know, F off, you stupid baldy." And I'll be like, "I'm not being funny, mate." I says, "My players, they could pass to you." And all of this was going on. My players were getting on with a job on the pitch because they knew what I was doing, and just little things like that. It's all part and parcel of it. It's part of the game.
Yeah.
Get on with it.
Absolutely part and parcel.
Get on with it. Stu, Stu, I don't think I've ever seen Stu as focused into the screen. You're really putting some effort into looking down that camera today, mate.
I've got me Tizer. I've got to keep away.
I was going to say, somebody said, was it Aimbrew? I looked at it, I thought that looks more like Tizer, that.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, it's great crack. It's part and parcel of it. And, you know, if you don't like it, do it back.
Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? And it always will. And just that we seem to be doing it better, and that annoys people even more. So it's fabulous, isn't it? And it is just the subtle things as well. Like they even Brentford yesterday tried the same penalty thing, which Tony didn't have. One of their players went and got the ball. Everyone knew it was going to Tony. Even the commentator I was listening said, "You're not kidding anyone. We know it's Tony's taking this, and they've learned this from Newcastle just last week. You know, so it's not kidding anyone. It was fantastic. Just before that penalty, you had the Leeds lad I was sitting with. He's never missed a penalty ever. He's got the best penalty record. Then he went and saved it with a poor penalty as well. So, excuse me, things like this, they're brought in, whether it's to waste time or it's more to shift focus, I think. As you said yourself, Steve, yeah. when you're doing it, the people start like, oh no, it takes away but it causes a distraction and it takes away the attention of what they should.
I'll tell you another good one, a player on the pitch, anybody who still plays amateur football, here's another good one for you. If you see a player with an earring in or a ring on their finger, tell the referee they've got to have it taped up, or earrings have got to be taken out because they can get ripped out. And if they've got a wedding ring or a ring on their finger, I'm afraid it needs to be taped up because it could easily get caught in the net and ripped off. But those are little things to keep for during the game. If you're up against it, get the centre forward off the pitch because he needs to get his ring taped up.
My favourite historical one was Dave Boone, the batsman. I forget who the bowler was. Who halfway through an over turned around to Boone and said, "Booney, why are you so fat?" And he says, "Well, because every time I shag your wife, she gives us a biscuit."
Somebody heard that one of me. Somebody heard that one of me on the football pitch in Newcastle. McKendrick Villas. I'll never forget that.
The guy who was originates from, I'm sure, is David Boone. It's definitely a cricket one.
Well, I think I've told you. I think I've told you on another platform that I used to play with a lad. I'm not going to mention his name because some of his relatives could be watching this morning. He's not with me now, poor soul. But he was a very, very good winger and played in the Mackems first team eventually. And every game he used to have the same ploy. He'd go to the right back and he'd say something about his girlfriend or his wife. You know, is she all right? She was when I was with her the other night. You know, that sort of thing. And usually by the end of the match, the fullback was trying to kick him into the stand. You know, and sometimes got sent off. But it happens and it still happens. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing new about it.
I'm not going to go on about VAR. We've discussed it more than enough on here, and the answer's simple. And Mitch and Stu and George and I think and everybody on this platform has said the same at least once. It's not VAR. It's the people who are bloody in charge of it, and it's as simple as that. So we're not going to go through that. Let's try and get through a couple of these questions. Kevin Moores' question with the lads: what do you think of NUFC? Any advice on it? Look, my view on it is good luck there, Darren and the lads. It's very well organised. They're doing a great job. If you want to, and it's the same as any organisation, any fans organisation. If you want to be a part of it, join it. If you don't, don't join it. It's as simple as that. They're going through the various moves and they're doing it very professionally. Darren's been organising the barges going to the London trips, for example, for the last few years, and he's done a cracking job. Never any trouble. Always praised by the Metropolitan Police, and the guys do really well. A lot of hardy, long-term Newcastle fans who are behind that and running it and in charge of it. So, as I would say, always buyer beware, because you're never sure what you're getting involved in. Whether we're talking about NUFC, the trust, whoever. But at the same time, you pay your money, you take your chance, and this seems to be well organised and has built a bit of a momentum. And the other thing is it gives an alternative to NUST. What does it give you that NUST doesn't give you? Is only for you to find out when you join. It's as simple as that. But George, having fans organisations set up is great. And I think, again, it just shows the positivity that surrounds the club because people want to do something and get involved.
Yeah, and all I'd say to them is I'm delighted as well as a long-term supporter to see something which is truly just a supporters club. The failure of the others, and I won't mention names on here, is they start off as supposedly just supporters and they end up getting stuck under the feet of fanzines and businesses and all sorts of side issues, which have nothing to do with supporters, but everything to do with them. This is a supporters club. Mm-hmm. And long may it prosper, and it'll prosper if that's what it remains. But once they stand outside that and do other things, then they'll lose people's faith. Now, I've got every faith that this lot will do it right and are doing it right, and I would certainly support them in the future, no doubt about it. But it's the word that I want to use is transparency. Is that what if that's what they are? Make sure that's what it looks like. And make sure that that's what people are buying. Once you start doing the other things, that's when you'll get sidelined.
Yeah, Mitch.
Well, like you say, good luck to the lads, because as someone who's tried to herd the cats in the past on multiple occasions, be that as the previous NUSC, which then became NUST, and all the hard work and effort that went into doing that. We are an unusual fan base, and that we're very individual. We all want the same things, but all want to feel like we're doing it in our own way. It's why travel clubs fall apart. It's why supporters clubs have been stillborn in the past almost. A lot of our fans aren't join us of anything anymore. And the trust has its place and has to answer for and to its members. But that's a tiny fraction of the fan base as a whole still, when you put it into raw numbers. So there has to be something alternative that brings something different to the table, and that's what I'm delighted to see. I think I'd like to see the club get involved and go one step further and do something official through themselves. I don't think they're quite ready to do that yet, but I think that's something that should come down the line, because I think you'll find international fans in particular will always want to be part of something officially connected to the club. So I think that would be NUSC's next challenge, perhaps, is how they deal and interact with the club if the club want to do their own thing. But yeah, if one thing for sure, if they decide to start to organise coaches, etc., it'll be well done, because Darren's always been able to do that very, very well. So and that's something something a supporters club should be there for, and something we lack and something that's missing.
I mean, he even ran the boats yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, the boats has been quite unique. That's been his thing. Nobody else had the balls to do it, and he's gone and done it. The next big thing is, of course, European trips, and that is going to be interesting. I always feel like clubs nowadays rather not get involved in transportation of supporters, and rather leave that to fans to deal with themselves. So flights, I mean, we remember Keith Barrett, of course, who used to do the Toon travel. Potentially that might resurface with European trips. Somebody might take up the chartering of a flight. Go on, Mitch.
There's one thing for sure, is that he'd be connected and talking to the network of fan-based travels, like Amanda at Shambles, for example, who developed over the last 20 years or so to fill the void in the lack of an official club, and that if there's any way that they can be talking and communicating with each other, and I've got no doubt they probably are, and then that certainly would be a strength going forward for them, particularly, as you say, with potential European trips on the horizon.
Yeah, I mean Fez's bus as well is become renowned among supporters. You know, there's a few different coaches go down. There's something for everybody. Backpage travel, of course, which you know, for those people with a bit more you know, who want to have a kip on the way back, shall we say, you know, and not bothered about having a drink there or back. They're the, you know, there is an alternative. But yeah, look, it'll be interesting. We're steering away a little bit from NUFC though. You know, from just from your point of view, Stu, it's another organisation, isn't it? But it's got the hands on somebody who's gone hands on, who's a guns everywhere. Really, let's be said, he is a supporter, and he's got some good people behind him, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I don't think Daz set this up to rival the trust. I think he's done it as an alternative.
Absolutely.
And say, like, this is how I believe it should be done. And okay, a lot of people go to him. He organised the thing at the Green Man as well, didn't he, at Wembley? As we know, he does the boats. So he'll be running it the way he believes that the fans should be treated, for the benefit of the fans. And if those decide to join that, you can join both. You know, it's not one or the other. You know, so it's important that, for me, I just wish Daz the best of luck, and I hope it's very successful for him. Because I think anyone who knows him will know that he does everything with the club at heart. He's just a supporter first and foremost, and that's how he wants to be known as a supporter of the club. And he is fanatical. You know, we met him in Riyadh, didn't we, Mitch? He was over then.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
and not many flew over for a friendly in Saudi Arabia, but he was one of them with his son as well.
Yeah.
So he's got the commitment, and from that, everyone knows he travels. He gets the respect as well. So hopefully it grows very well, and it's a big success.
Kevin, reach out, mate. I know you're in. I know you're involved, mate. And it is interesting takes. I think a lot of people will have an opinion on it. For me, anybody wants to come on the podcast and have a chat about it, I know, you know, they're not too keen on podcasts. Some of the lads involved. But yeah, listen. Anything you need to promote, anything you need to speak about, anything you want to push out there, even if it's just to come on and have a chat about it, Kevin. You know, maybe use the fans forum on a Monday night. Good chance to come across and let us know what you're up to. But yeah, good luck with it. Everybody involved, I'm sure it'll do very, very well. Yeah, you know, long may it continue. Did have a couple of other questions. We covered McTominay, Ian Toon Trader on past shows, and Tom, we've talked about James Maddison. We'll leave that for the summer. Andy Davies did say it probably goes to the VAR knees up at the end of the season, with reference to the money that's chucked into the fines pot. Steve Middlemas is another classic which I've used. He says, I played against Eric Gates once and told the referee that he wasn't wearing any shin pads, so he wasn't let on. And he went ballistic. I love that. I love that. We'll finish up with this one because this is a bit different, Barry. He says, what do you think about the story that the Premier League is set to launch its own TV coverage channel and ditch Sky Sports, BT Sports, and everyone else? Something, Mitch, I'll start with you. This has been mentioned in the past, hasn't it? It's been mentioned in dispatches in the past, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in some way, shape, or form.
Nothing would surprise me at all. It works very well. Again, NFL have a thing called Game Pass, where you can access every game all the time, whenever you want. And it's a relatively small monthly fee compared to what you'd be paying for subscriptions to multiple platforms. The only other thing they do around that is they do have television contracts extra to that, but for a limited amount of games. The Thursday night game, for the Monday night game, and for the Sunday games, they're divided by region, east, west, etc., etc. But the only way you can get everything on one platform is Game Pass, and it's totally internal. Everything goes to the NFL. However, the NFL has settled that all of these, all of this money is divided equally and fairly between the sides. That's not going to happen with the Premier League, unless the Premier League finally grows a pair of balls and puts the so-called Big Six into that place and say, no, top of the table and bottom of the table, you're all getting the same deal. Television revenue is so important to ongoing finances of the Premier League. My worry or concern would be they're going to put a package together that actually is eye-wateringly expensive. I don't think it'll be like the NFL. I think it'll be the other way around, because they're greedy little monkeys. And so I hope not, but it certainly wouldn't surprise us if it happened because the models are there. I think NHL have got something similar in ice hockey in the States. We have a platform over here called TOD, which seems to, again, be something connected to beIN where you can watch every game at any time. But again, the subscription for that's quite small, but that's because of the way the subscriptions work over here. But for a one platform owned by the Premier League and all the money going to the Premier League, it makes perfect sense to me where the game's going.
Stu, what's your thoughts on that, on what Mitch has said?
I'm surprised that they haven't tried it before, to be honest, knowing how greedy they are and driven by money. And the only explanation I can think when Mitch was talking there, I was trying to work out like why haven't they done it? And that you just think like the Skies, the BTs, beIN Sports, whatever, give them lump sums of money up front for doing nothing, and they do all the work. Whereas if they just launch their own channel, they're going to have to spend money. You've got to spend money to make the money. So maybe they've put it off for that reason, because it would take a big injection of money to get it all set up. Then you've got to get the right commentators, the panelists, and everything else. And they think, well, maybe we're spending too much money on what they might deem as a risk. But the way it's going now, and also the way the Premier League have been, maybe they haven't had the confidence to actually do their own, because that could actually show favouritism as well on which games they're putting on. But if it's a pass, as Mitch alluded to there, where you can get like a season pass for any club that you want, or you can get a pass for every single game, then there isn't an issue, is there? But what that would then create is, if, for example, Manchester United will have more people buying passes than what Burnley will next season, should they not get a bigger cut of the money? And that goes back to the cartel accusations, doesn't it? So there's a lot of legal things, the reasons probably why they haven't done it. But I'm surprised that they haven't pushed through, because it's a pot of money for nothing, really, isn't it? Once you've done the hard work in the first year, it looks after itself. But yeah, I think they will do it, and they'll probably go into streaming as well, rather than just buying a pass, because that'll get access to everyone worldwide rather than just in the UK, because they can't dictate what goes on channels abroad, can they? So that's why you need the pass for the streaming. Mm-hmm. That's just it.
Yeah, it is. George, would you like to see Premier League TV? I do get Stephen's point. He goes, what would be a great step forward for televised games, no matter who's putting them on, is if the commentators could be unbiased and the cameras cover the actual football.
Well, that's where I started, didn't I? Because the commentators yesterday were pathetic. I mean, there was one woman on one of the commentaries I heard who tried at least to put some Newcastle bias in, saying how well Botman was playing, etc. But the guy was just a waste of space. He was desperate for Brentford to score. He nearly wet in his pants for Brentford to score. Anyway, no, I'm like the lads. I'm just surprised they haven't tried it before. And the only reason I'd say they haven't tried it before is because of the incompetent lot that run the league anyway. That they probably wouldn't know how to get around it. Got to do it. So. It seems an absolutely sensible idea, and the one platform, one payment notion that Neil said about American football, that would be absolutely great. But will they do it? I suspect that price pensioners and low income families out of sport, they wouldn't put it at a level that they could take. So. I could be wrong, but the top and bottom of it is, it's their product that they're selling, for God's sake. So it makes sense that they should try and sell it themselves rather than give all the money away to other people.
Yep, certainly does. Okay, that hour has flown over. Stu, it is time for you to recommence your birthday celebrations. I'm going to send you off.
Thank you very much.
What makes you bad makes you better. Enjoy the rest of your birthday weekend, and I'm going to go and have some chocolate, go and have my Sunday dinner, and then me and George are going to record another Those Were the Days. I'm also going to have to record a chat with Ben Jacobs. So this week's events, Monday, Fans Forum, 6 o'clock, live. Tuesday night, will be a pre-record with Ben Jacobs. Wednesday, as always, will be Geordie's here. Geordie's there. Thursdays will be Super Mag and Gibbo, and Fridays will be back live with the three amigos. So that's your week sorted out. But for now, take care, lads. See you soon.
Cheers,
Good to see
everyone.
you.
Cheers, everyone. Happy birthday, Stu.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah,
Happy Easter,
happy
everyone.
Easter.